Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Bonuchari Jamuna Tira Bonuchari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat
So today we are going to discuss the second chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. This chapter is entitled as Divinity and Divine Service. How many of you remember the first chapter? What we discussed about the first chapter yesterday? Okay. What about others? How many of you did not understand what we discussed yesterday? So, how many of you are understanding what I'm speaking about? Anyway, so the first chapter, the beginning chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, is describing how Srimad Bhagavatam is the one gets to understand him, his threefold miseries are completely uprooted. And then it describes how Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of the desire tree of Divinity. And this ripened fruit of that desire tree has been mixed with the nectar from the lotus lips of Srimad. And then Srimad Bhagavatam begins like how was the background of Srimad Bhagavatam. The sages in Naimisharanya, 60,000 sages assembled in Naimisharanya, and there they were performing a 1,000-year-long sacrifice. And one morning, after offering the sacrificial offerings, they sat together and they requested Sutta Goswami to describe, to tell them about the ultimate benefit, what he calls the ultimate benefit of their life. Ta ekada tu munaya pratar uttarnaya satkritam sutamasinam bhakruchiritam adara. They asked him very respectfully to Sutta Goswami, offering him the exalted seat. They said, Taya kalu puranani sethi masani abkhattanam patitani dharmashastrani jnanati. You have mastered all the scriptures, Puran, Itihas, Dharmashastra, the entire Vedas you have mastered. Therefore, you are in a position to tell us what is the ultimate benefit for us, for all mankind, for entire mankind in this very degraded age of Kali. In the age of Kali, people are very unfortunate. Their lifespan is very short. Prayam alpali sukshatva kalavasham. In the age of Kali, the duration of life, ayu, is very short. Prayam alpa ayusa samchana kalavasham viveda, in the age of Kali. And on top of that, Manda Sumanda Matayo. They are very lazy. Manda, they are Sumanda Matayo. Their mentality is very degraded. And Manda Bhavya, they are very unfortunate also. And Upatita, they are constantly troubled by different types of material calamities. Now on the other hand, Burini, Burikarmani, Shodapani. On the other hand, the Vedas are vast, Buri. And Burikarmani, in the Vedas, various types of activities have been prescribed. And unless and until one understands that the totality of the Vedas, one won't be able to understand what is the purpose of the Vedas, the teaching of the Vedas. So in a situation like that, now we the Vaishnavas are assembled here in this holy land. So please And so then, this chapter, chapter 2, is describing what happened after that. Yeah, okay. And then, one point I missed from the previous chapter, they also describe that actually the ultimate solution is the glorification of the Supreme Personality of God. His name, His form, His qualities, His constants. His name, Apanna Samshrutim Bhagavan, Jannam Vivashati. Why are you so late? Huh? Don't take these classes so lightly. Try to come to the class on time. They cannot be there. What is the experience? And the holy name of the Lord is so powerful that even if one chants the holy name unconscious, Jannam Vivashati, Tato Sattva Vimuccheti, immediately he becomes free from all his material attachments. And the lotus feet of the Lord is so wonderful that when one takes shelter of that lotus feet of the Lord, then he can at once become purified. Whereas the water of the Ganges purifies one after prolonged use. Jat pada samsaya munaya prashamanana satto kunantu upashkrishta sarthunna. And who will not glorify the Supreme Personality of God in order to become delivered from the vices of the age of Kali, age of Kali. And in this way, Shaunaka Rishi had, on behalf of all the saintly personalities in Naimisharanya, requested Sutta Goswami to describe the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because the glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can purify one of all material contamination, especially in the age of Kali. There is no other way but to take shelter of the holy name. Then the last verse was Bruhi Yogeshware Krishna Brahmane Dharma Varani Sham Kashtam Arjuna Vede Dharma Kam Sharna Vata. Please tell us, since Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, Yogeshwar, the master of all mystics, since he has departed, since he left this material nature and went back to the spiritual sky, Krishna, who is the protector of Dharma, whose shelter Dharma has taken now? Dharma Kam Sharananda. Then it comes to the second chapter, Ugrashava Sutta Goswami, the son of Romaharsha, being fully satisfied by the perfect question of the Brahmana, thanked them and thus attended to reply. So intelligent question always inspires a speaker or a devotee. All spiritual topics, the Vedic literature actually is a matter of questions and answers. What is Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is asking the questions, Krishna is answering. Then Srimad Bhagavatam also we see questions and answers. The sages of Naimisharanya, or on behalf of the sages of Naimisharanya, Shonaka Rishi is asking the questions and Sutta Goswami is answering. Parikshit Maharaj asking the questions, Sukadev Goswami is answering. Or sometimes they will describe, like Vidura is asking questions, Maitreya Rishi is answering. In this way, it's a matter of question and answer. Prachetas are asking questions, or Shiva is answering. So it's a matter of question and answer. So either we describe the questions and answers asked by others and replied by others, or directly what has been asked of us, we answer those questions. So here we are actually describing how this question-answer sessions went on. The question and answers is the process of receiving knowledge. So at first Sutta Goswami offered his respects to his spiritual master. Who is Sutta Goswami's spiritual master? Is Sukadeva Goswami. Srila Sutta Goswami said, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the great sage, Sukadeva Goswami, who can enter the hearts of all. When he went away to take up the renounced order of life, living home without undergoing reformation by the sacred trade or the ceremonies observed by the higher caste, his father, Vasudeva, fearing separation from him, cried out, 'O my son, indeed only the trees which were absorbed in the same feelings of separation echoed in response to the decree from the So Vasudeva was very much perturbed that Sukadeva Goswami left home right after his birth. Sukadeva Goswami didn't want to come out of his mother's womb, considering the condition of the material. He felt it's a very undesirable place to be. So he didn't want to come. So he preferred to stay in his mother's womb. For 14 years he stayed. And then when he came out, he was walked. Left home. And Vasudeva was concerned that my son is leaving home without being properly educated or properly instructed on the spiritual subject matter, and without being properly reformed through the ceremony of Upanayan or initiation. But Sukadeva Goswami was a self-realized soul even before his birth. He was completely absorbed in Brahman realization. So Vasudeva after him when Sukadeva Goswami left home, where they were going after him, calling his son to come back. But there was no response from Sukadeva. The only response came from the tree because of that echo. He was calling, "Oh my son, oh my son." And the trees also echoed, "My son." Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayana Rishi, the supreme human being, unto Mata Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Sri Vasudev, the author. One verse. So, then he started to describe, "O sages, I have been justly questioned by you. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self." Then he comes to a point. What is the point? This is a very important verse. What is the real dharma? What is the real purpose of religion? Savoikumsham pravodham yato bhakti adhokshate ahaituki apratihata yajatma suprashi. Yajatma suprashi. Savoikumsham parodham. Parodharma, the supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy itself. Ahaituki, so this devotional service must be ahaituki and ahaituki. Should not be motivated by any motive. Should not be motivated by any material desire. It should be ahaituki. The word ahaituki has been described as causeless. And operativata is uninterrupted. So this Jato Bhakti Adhokshati, the bhakti unto the Supreme Personality of God and the Transcendental Lord, should be unmotivated or unconditional and uninterrupted, constant. We should render this service to the Lord. Then only what happens? Then the heart will become completely satisfied. Then the soul will become completely satisfied. Yayatma, due to which the Atma, the self, will become suprashidati, will become completely satisfied. Next verse also is a very beautiful verse. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayodhita Yanaratashu Vairagyan Jnanam Cha Ahaitukam. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causes knowledge and detachment from the world. Janayati ashu vairagyam jnanam cha. So Vasudeva Bhagavati, the devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva, generates detachment and absolute knowledge immediately, very quickly. So, knowledge and renunciation, jnana and vairagya, are secondary results of devotional service. One does not have to separately endeavor for renunciation and knowledge. It will automatically become manifest. In that respect, it has been described that devotional service, Bhakti Devi, has two sons. Bhakti Devi has two sons. Those two sons are Jnana and Vairagya. So wherever the mother goes, the children automatically follow. So similarly, wherever there is devotion to Krishna, Vasudeva, there is Jnana and Vairagya automatically present. So the point actually is that devotees do not have to separately endeavor for knowledge and renunciation. It will happen automatically. So this verse also is very important, so try to memorize it. At some point I would like you to make it a point to memorize the verses. One verse. In this way you can very quickly memorize or systematically memorize chapter by chapter. When we were in New Jersey shooting for Bhagavatam, every morning we used to have Bhagavatam class and we used to memorize the verses. One verse a day. The children were laughing because every morning I make them memorize. How many verses do you remember now? So memorizing and then practice. You must keep on repeating other verses. But if you make an effort to memorize one verse a day and then we repeat it, like, do you get any benefit? Is it helping the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam in the morning? One chapter. We are doing it for a week now. One chapter a week. We start off with one chapter for a fortnight from Ekadasi. So now it has become one chapter a week. And there will be, maybe now we can reduce it. Maybe we decide one chapter for 3 days. And then we come to one chapter a day. And then in 18 days we can do it. So Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janaya Tashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Janapali. Jai Shri Pandita Ki Jai Shri Radha Mohan Ki Jai Shri Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita. Prayojita means applied. When this bhakti is applied to Vasudeva, that's a very beautiful presentation. When Bhakti Yoga is applied to Vasudeva, then what happens? Janayat Vasudeva Jnanacha. You apply Bhakti Yoga to Vasudeva and you immediately have Jnana and Vairagya. Now Jnana and Vairagya is important. One has to become detached. If one remains attached to the material nature, it is difficult for him to get himself, to free himself from the material world. And knowledge is necessary, jnana is necessary, but it is automatically. How it happens? How it happens? Just that when the sun comes up, immediately there is light and heat. It was cold, yeah? The morning was very cold. But as soon as the sun comes up, it becomes warm. Nights are dark. As soon as the sun comes up, light is there. How does it happen? That is the result of the sun. Right? The sun has light and heat. So as soon as the sun comes up, there is light and heat automatically. Or does one have to light up big searchlights, floodlights? No necessary. Sound automatically. We do not have to make any endeavor ourselves to light up. Suns appear in the full being. Similarly, just by applying Bhakti Yoga to Vasudeva, Jnana and Vairagya will automatically manifest. Dharmasya apavargasya nartharthaya prapate narthasya dharmaikantasya kamam labhaya visnata. All occupational engagements are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. So dharmasya hi apavargasya. Apavarga means liberation, freedom from it. Nartho arthaya. All the occupational engagements are meant for ultimate liberation.
There was one verse before this.
Fine. Okay. This verse also, one verse before also is very important. Dharma sanushika pumsham vishakshena kathasya notpadaya yadi ratin shrama yedutiki. Dharma sanushika. Dharma or dharma here, or our understanding of dharma is not actually relation. Dharma is occupational duty. That is the definition of dharma. Dharma is not religion as such. There is only one religion, so there is no need to worry about it. But our occupational duties may change. Occupational duties can be two stages, can be classified in two categories. The occupational duty for the body and the occupational duty of the soul. The occupational duty of the body can change. For example, what is the occupational duty of a cow? Cow's body. What is the functioning or the purpose or activity of the cow's body? Cow's body, what does it? Give milk. Cows give milk. And the hunt its prey and eat their flesh. So occupational duty of a tiger is to kill. Lion. Occupational duty of a dog is to become man's best friend. So these are the occupational duties changing due to the body, due to changing of body. The cow that gives milk and nourishes human being. If the same person, if the same soul next goes to a lion's body, what will he do? He'll eat the same person. Right? The body will change. According to the body, the occupational duty will change. Similarly, when it comes to a human being, when one is a Shudra, what will be his occupational duty? To serve. When he is a Vaishya, what will be his occupational duty? To cater to the demands of the society. When he becomes a Kshatriya, what will be his occupational duty? To give protection to the society. And when one becomes a Brahmana, what is his occupational duty? To impart knowledge, spiritual knowledge. So according to the occupation, body is changing, occupational duties change. But the occupational duty of the soul, what is the occupational duty of the soul? Is to serve Krishna. Now, the occupational duty of a lion soul, a cow soul, a Sudra soul, a Brahmana soul is the same. As long as he is in the body consciousness, his occupational duty may differ. But when he becomes situated in his spiritual life, becomes situated in his soul, then there is only one occupation. So the occupational duty of the soul is one. And what is that? The service. Therefore, it is called Nityata. And the occupational duty of the body is called Naimitya. The body is the Nimitya, and the dharma of the body is Naimitya. Whereas the occupational duty of the soul is constant. Therefore, so here it has been pointed out. Dharma shanu shrita purusham vishakshena katha suya notpadaya yaviragim shramati. The occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction to the message of the personality of God. Vishakshena, who is Vishakshena? Vishakshena is the personality. Krishna. And then the next one, all occupational engagements are certain ways for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Should we perform dharma, our occupational duty for material gain? Especially the spiritual activities should not be motivated by material. It should be performed only for the sake of ultimate liberation. Furthermore, according to sages, one who is engaged in ultimate occupational service should never use material gains to cultivate sense gratification. Life's desire should never be directed towards sense gratification. Kamasya nendriya priti labho jive se javata jivasya sapta Life's desires should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation, since the human being is meant for the inquiry of the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's life. So in this way, who is instructing? Sutta Goswami to the sages upon their question. The next verse is very important. Try to memorize this verse also. Vadamhi tattvavidas tattvam jajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmati bhagavan. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call the non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma. Although the substance is non-dual, it is identified by three names: Brahma, Paramatma. That will be explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. The thing is, the Jnanis recognize that absolute truth, non-dual absolute truth as Brahma. The yogis realize that same absolute truth as Paramatma. And devotees recognize him as Brahma. The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from Vedanta Shruti. O best among the twice born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging the duties prescribed for one's own occupation according to caste division and orders of life is to please the Supreme Personality. So what is the purpose of Varna and Ashram Dharma? So body Dharma is Varnashram. For human beings, especially for civilized human beings, the body Dharma is Varnashram. According to the body, human society has been divided into 4 categories. Those 4 categories are Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and the human life has been divided into 4 stages. Brahman, Kshatriya, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi. So these are 4 Varnas and 4 Ashram, and they are known as Varnashram. So here it has been pointed out that the purpose of Varnashram Dharma should be only to Haritoshanam, satisfying or pleasing Sri Hari, the Supreme Personality of God. Atokum Dhi Jaskrishna Varnashrama Vibhag. Varna and Ashrama Vibhag. Division of Varnas and Ashram. Shanushtitasya Dharmasya. Swa Anushtitasya Dharmasya. The purpose of this practicing this dharma is samsiddhi paritoshanam. The highest perfection, samsiddhi, is to be undivided attention, with his consciousness fixed completely, should tasmad ekena manasa bhagavan satyadam pati shrotavya kirtitavyaśya dheya ujyasya nittada. So these are the four things. Shrotavya means must be heard about. One must hear, and kirtitavyasya, glorify. Hear, glorify, dheya, meditate upon, and ujyasya, worship. Nittada, all the time. Therefore, tasmad means therefore. Tasmad ekena manasa. Ekena, eka means one. And ekena means by mind. Manasa. By the mind completely pointed in one point, one object. And what should we do? Shrotavya kirtitavyaśya dheya and ujyasya. To whom? Bhagavan. And who is Bhagavan? Satyadam, the Lord of the Sun, the protector of his devotees. So this is the balancing fact. The devotee completely surrenders himself to serving the Lord. What does the Lord do? He protects him. It is not that the devotees have to serve and then all the time worry. Oh, what will happen? What will happen to my family? Where the money will come? Where? No. One devotee doesn't have to worry. Devotee should only serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the protector of his devotees, he will always take care of them. Therefore, a devotee doesn't have to worry. But then the consideration is sometimes one may say, well, I am serving, but at the same time, I have to take care. Yes, if you are serving 25%, then Krishna will give you 25% protection. If you are serving 50%, Krishna will give you 50% protection. But if you are serving 100%, then what will be Krishna's protection? Degree of Krishna's protection. 100%. You surrender yourself completely to Krishna, Krishna. But if you are thinking, well, I will keep something for myself and give something else to Krishna, then Krishna will say, okay. So I will also get into the same shareholding. You give 50%, I will give 50%. With sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary war, karma, by remembering the personality of God. Therefore, who will not pay attention to the message? I'll just quickly go through. O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely free from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the message of God. Jai Shri Krishna Balaram, Jai Shri Radha Madhava, Jai Shri Govinda. So now, as we describe the service to the devotee is very important. Now, Shrotava Kirtitavasya Dheya Vidyashya Tada. But then also, that these surrender unto a devotee. Then these verses, next few verses are very important. Srimad Sapataka Krishna, Punna Shravana Kirtan, Ritan Tasroprani, Vidunoti Sutta, Nashta Praishu Apadreshu, Nittam Bhagavata Sevaya, Bhagavati Namashruti, Tadarajas Kamabhava. Anyway, these verses are very beautiful verses, and so I'll just read the translation. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma Super Soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his message, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Riddhanta Staupadrani Vidunoti Surit Satam. Surit Satam, when one takes to devotional service, then very quickly the Supreme Personality of Godhead purifies all the impurities from the heart. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome in the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental song, is established as an irrevocable fact. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes completely happy. Thus, established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlightened by contact with the devotional service of the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material accumulation. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fluid action is terminated when one sees the self as master. Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with great delight, because such devotional service is enlivening to the self. The transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with three modes of material nature, namely passion, goodness, and ignorance, and just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction. He accepts the three qualitative form of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. Saptam Rajastamo iti Prakriti Gunastri Yukta Parah Purusha Eva Vihasati Sittadare Hari Virinche Hare Tisanga Shriyam Siddhatra Kami Saptadam Nam Shri. Firewood is transformed into earth. The firewood is a transformation of earth. But smoke is better than the raw wood, and fire is still better, for by fire one can derive the benefit of superior knowledge through various sacrifices. Similarly, passion is better than ignorance, but goodness is best, because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth of Why? Because by goodness one can come to realize that. Only through the mode of goodness one can realize the absolute truth. Previously, all the great sages rendered service unto the personality of Godhead due to his existence above the three modes of material nature. They worshipped him to become free from material condition and thus derive ultimate benefit. Whoever follows such great authorities is also eligible for liberation from the material world. Those who are serious about liberation are certainly not fools, and they respect all. Yet they reject the horrible and ghastly forms of the demigod and worship only the all blissful forms of Lord Vishnu and his greater devotion. So those who are desirous of liberation, they are certainly non-envious. Why people become envious? They become envious because when they see that somebody has something that he needs or he wants to have, they envy. But a person who doesn't have any desire for the material things, can he become envious? No. So, those who are desirous, those who want to become free from material bondage, they naturally nominate because they have nothing to gain in this material. So why should they be envious? An example can be given that if some children think that sand they play with is very valuable. Children may think that because they are building a castle made of sand. You do that when you are young? You make a house made of sand. So when the children play with sand, to them sand is very valuable, isn't it? They may say, why you have so much sand, give me some. He said, no, I can't give it to you. And they start fighting. I'll never speak to you. You never give me some sand. But when the children grow up, they lose interest for the sand. They doesn't have any value. Will they ever fight for sand? No. Similarly, a person who has lost interest for material things, he will not fight for any material possession. It's okay. You want some sand? Okay. You want some more? Take some more. Right? So this is how he becomes free from envy, because he doesn't have any desire for possession. But although the materialistic, although the people desirous of material freedom from material bondage, they are not envious, but they are not interested in worshipping the demigod. Why? Because the result of worshipping the demigod, the purpose of worshipping the demigod is to get material benefit. So since they don't need any material benefit, they don't feel the need to worship. Those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance worship the forefathers, other living beings and demigods who are in charge of cosmic activity, for they are urged by the desire to be materially benefited with women, wealth, power, and progeny. In the revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The purpose of performing sacrifice is to please Him. Yoga is for realizing Him. All fruitive activities are ultimately rewarded by Him only. He is supreme knowledge, and all severe austerity know Him. Religion, dharma, is rendering loving service unto Him. He is the supreme Lord of life. So, what is the ultimate dharma? To render loving devotional service unto Krishna, the Supreme Personality. In the beginning of the material creation, that absolute personality of God, Vasudeva, in His transcendental position, created the energy of cause and effect by His own internal energy. So, in the beginning of creation, that absolute personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, in His transcendental position, created the energy of cause and effect by His own internal energy. So, what is that cause and effect? That cause and effect is karmic karma. As you act according to your reaction. After creating the material substance, the Lord, Vasudeva, expands Himself and enters into it. And although He is within the material mode of nature and appears to be one of the created beings, He is always fully enlightened in His transcendental. Although He may appear to be one of the created beings, but He is always. The Lord as Supersoul pervades all things just as fire permeates food, and so He appears to be of many varieties, though He is the absolute one without a second. The Supersoul enters into the bodies of the created beings who are influenced by modes of material nature and causes them to enjoy the effects of these modes by the subtle mind. Thus the Lord of the universe maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men and lower animals. Assuming the roles of incarnations, He performs pastimes to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. So thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the first canto, second chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Divinity and Divinity. Hare Krishna. Yes.
The contamination is almost completely destroyed. Why not?
This has been described actually as almost purified, not fully. Because this Nityan Bhagavata Sevaya can take us only to a point of certain, maybe at the most to the point of bhava. But that is our endeavor can take us only to something. But the ultimate thing will come in the form of the mercy of Vaishnavas and Krishna. That we cannot force. So almost all it will be all the contamination will almost be purified, but not completely purified unless the understanding to receive the mercy.
Whereas in the verse it doesn't mention that it is successively progression, but it just says three types. Whereas Prabhupada explains it as a progression. So, I mean, how did that idea?
Okay. Very good point. That reminds me, once when I was with Sri Prabhupada in Rishikesh, in the evenings Prabhupada used to give darshan from 5 to 6. And then everybody was all asked to leave. But if somebody was interested, then we continued to speak to them. And so one day, there was a nice sannyasi, quite young. He was not very old, he was quite young. So I started to speak to him after Prabhupada's darshan. I was sitting and he was actually in my class. Most of the sadhus in India are actually my class. So he was insisting that the Brahman realization is the ultimate. And so I quoted this verse. And I told him that that is the first stage. And I pointed out that it is like when we want to know the absolute truth, then we try to understand the absolute truth by means of our own intellect. And the process is questioning, is this the absolute truth? No. Neti. And through this process of neti, if one comes to the ultimate and penetrates through the covering of Maya, then we feel the Brahman. So through the process of jnana, the thing is Brahman, realization is Brahman. But when one sees the Brahman Jyoti, his condition is like, say, a man who has been in a dark room for a long, long time. And all of a sudden he is exposed to the midday sun. What will happen? He'll become blind. So when one all of a sudden pursues the Brahma Jyoti, being in the darkness of the material nature, he becomes blind. So it is a kind of coming to a dead end. There's nothing to go beyond. Is this the absolute truth? Coming to find this absolute truth, I become blind. I wanted to see the absolute truth, I became blind. So then, recognizing that this is a dead end, he then changes his course and goes the opposite way. By the external endeavor, we came to this dead end of Brahman realization. So then when he withdraws himself internally, and that process is slow. And when he achieves the perfection of his yoga practice, then he sees the super soul in the heart of Paramatma. But in the light of the Paramatma, he sees himself as a Jivatma. He sees Paramatma, the great Supreme Atma, and he is a mindful heart. So when someone who is small comes across someone great, what happens? He naturally surrenders. So that surrender is actually the beginning of devotion. When one surrenders to the Lord, then he begins to render devotional service unto Him. So after this Paramatma realization, one becomes engaged in devotional service, and as a result of that, when he achieves perfection, by receiving the mercy of the Lord, then he sees Him as Bhagavan. So this is the success rate, right? Gradual development. And I was recalling this incident in Rishikesh. Then that man, I don't know how much he was convinced, but I was screaming and shouting. Not screaming and shouting that way, but I was so excitedly explaining to him that my voice became quite loud. So afterwards, I went downstairs, and then Upendra Or I was quite apprehensive that because I was not very pleasant with that person. Like sometimes when you become excited, you become heavy. So I was thinking that problem. Then Prabhupada, I went to Prabhupada. Then Prabhupada asked me, so what were you doing? I said, Prabhupada, I was preaching. And Prabhupada said, oh, what were you preaching? So then I reflected what I said. When I said that, Prabhupada was silent. But sometimes he didn't say that. So I asked Prabhupada, did I say anything wrong? Prabhupada said, no. You spoke very nice. You preached very nice. I was only a few months in the movement at that time. Prabhupada used to be very appreciative in his thought, preaching on the basis of scripture. That's why it's important that we study the scriptures carefully, memorize the verses. Then our presentation is important. Because if you preach on the basis of the scripture, on the basis of the verse of the scriptures, then you cannot go wrong. Therefore, the system is that whenever we say something, it must be on the basis of the scripture. Like the other day, I was preaching, I was giving a class in my group. In the evening, he came to see me in my room and I was giving. He just ended to keep time and Jayadeva Maharaj was there and a few other devotees also were there. And I was explaining how two different functions. One is the function of the body and the other is the function of the soul. The center of the function of the body is the mind, or mind, intelligence, or subtle. The center of the gross body is the subtle, or the mind. And the seat of the mind is the head. And the seat of the soul is the heart. The soul is in the heart. The seat of the mind is the head. And afterwards, Jayadeva Maharaj was sitting and one devotee came and he asked me, like, what is the basis of this statement that the seat of the mind is the brain? That's it. And for a moment I was stuck. I couldn't remember that I did speak and I spoke quite elaborately on that topic. And I was giving him the basic understanding that it is such a common understanding that, like, don't we say if somebody is intelligent, we say that he is very, he has a good head, good brain. So mind and intelligence is synonymous to the brain. Whereas when it is a heart, soul, he has a good heart. So, or the activities of the soul is presented through the heart, but the activities of the mind is presented through the head. But fortunately, I was giving like such a common understanding that the seat of the mind is the head. But then I just got this was a discussion taking place between Jagavalka and Gargi. Jagavalka and Gargi. Gargi was asking questions and Jagavalka was answering. So they were questioning and question answer was going on. So she was asking, what is the basis of, say for example, I don't know the details. So what is the basis of creation? The basis of creation is the elements. What is the basis of, what are the elements? Earth, water, fire. What is the basis of earth? Water. What is the basis of water? Fire. Going on. And then she ultimately came to Brahman. And Jagavalka said that the basis of that is Brahman. Like for example, what is the basis of the Mahatattva from which the whole manifestation? And he says the basis of Mahatattva is Brahman. And then immediately he says, Gargi, don't ask any more questions. Because if you do, then your head will fall off. And naturally, the question is, sincerely she is asking questions, why should her head fall off? But then, the answer to that is, that after Brahman, you can go only with your mind and intellect. Beyond that, you cannot go with it. After Brahman, you can go with it. Therefore, the thing is that if you want to go on beyond that, then you have to give up your head, activities of your head, and you have to go through your heart. And so this was a scriptural evidence that the seat of the mind is the seat of the mind. Okay, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Gaur Premanandi. So is it better inside or outside? The class? In the morning I was thinking that today there was some fog and it was a little chilly outside, so the sun rays didn't come in that powerful. Okay, tomorrow we will see. And also, it is so close to the road. I was thinking that if we go for a class in the morning, then, outside, better inside. Okay, Chiranjeev has given his birthday. Go to